In the deepest reaches of the galaxy, Earth had long been forgotten. Quiet. Distant blue planet overshadowed by the grand empires and advanced civilizations that ruled the stars. For centuries, humanity had lived in relative peace, hidden away, recovering from wars that had once nearly destroyed them. The Earth of this new era was not the same as before. It was a place where scars of the past had slowly healed, where secret laboratories and underground cities thrived beneath a calm surface. Above the planet's atmosphere, satellite arrays and orbital platforms hummed quietly, a silent testament to a hidden power rebuilding in the shadows. Meanwhile, the Galactic Federation, sprawling alliance of alien races that believed themselves far superior, looked down on Earth with mild curiosity but no fear. They saw a world stuck in the past, primitive, weak, and not worth their attention. The Federation's fleets moved boldly through the stars, conquering and absorbing weaker systems with ease, their confidence unshaken by any rumor of Earth's rebirth. However, not all Federation members shared this certainty. A small scout ship, operating far beyond its usual patrol zone, detected unusual energy patterns coming from Earth's orbit, signs of advanced technology hidden beneath layers of deception. The scout's reports were met with skepticism by the Galactic Council, who dismissed them as exaggerations or false alarms. They believed Earth had no means to defend itself, and certainly no desire to wage war on the Federation. Yet the truth was far more complex and dangerous than they imagined. Deep beneath Earth's surface, human engineers and scientists worked tirelessly, developing new weapons, shields, and communication systems designed to protect their world at any cost. Earth's military leaders communicated in coded transmissions, sending out encrypted signals that only those with the most sophisticated technology could detect and understand. These messages were not pleas for help or warnings of surrender. They were fierce declarations of intent. One message in particular echoed through the silent corridors of space: attack again and be annihilated. It was a final warning. A challenge hidden in layers of cryptography, meant to be received loud and clear by anyone foolish enough to underestimate humanity. For months, Earth remained still, letting the message hang like a shadow over the galaxy.
The Federations.
Diplomats debated quietly, but decided to ignore it, convinced that Earth's threats were empty. But beneath that confidence, a ripple of doubt began to spread. What if Earth had changed? What if the quiet planet was no longer the helpless world they thought it was? These questions haunted the minds of a few high-ranking Federation officers, who pushed for caution, but their voices were drowned out by the overwhelming majority who wanted to maintain their dominance. Meanwhile, Earth's people watched the stars with steady eyes, knowing that their survival depended on secrecy and strength. They understood that the coming years could bring war or peace. But one thing was certain: Earth was ready to defend itself with everything it had. As the first scout ship disappeared into the void, carrying reports of a planet unlike any other, the stage was set for a confrontation that would shake the galaxy to its core. In this calm before the storm, Earth sent out one last encrypted signal into the vastness of space, an unyielding promise that anyone who dared to attack again would face total destruction. The silence that followed was heavy with tension, as countless eyes across the stars turned toward a planet once dismissed as weak, now rising as a beacon of warning and strength. As the dark void of space stretched silently around Earth, the skies above the planet held a secret long hidden from the galaxy. While the Galactic Federation considered Earth a primitive world, the truth was far more complex. The Federation, despite receiving a strange message warning them not to interfere with Earth, chose to ignore it. Confident in their strength, they dispatched a mid-level fleet to the solar system, believing it would be an easy conquest. Their ships glided through the blackness like silent predators, weapons charged and systems primed. But as they crossed into Earth's orbit, everything changed. Without warning, the peaceful-looking planet revealed its hidden strength. Dozens of satellites, once thought inactive, roared to life. Advanced orbital defense stations emerged from behind the shadows of the moon, while swarms of AI-controlled drones filled the surrounding space. Earth's electromagnetic shields activated in a shimmering blue web, protecting key targets and confusing the Federation's targeting systems. The Federation commanders were stunned. This was not the helpless planet they had expected. From the very first blast, Earth fought with a combination of raw power and clever strategy. Instead of facing the enemy head-on in every skirmish, Earth's forces used the asteroid belt to their advantage, luring ships into fields of floating debris and then detonating hidden mines. Some drones carried decoys, tricking enemy ships into wasting precious ammunition. Others linked in swarms to form moving barriers, blocking energy blasts and surrounding vulnerable ships. On the surface, humans watched with silent determination, trusting their machines but ready to act if needed. The Federation ships, though more numerous and advanced in some ways, struggled to adapt. Their technology was made for domination, not unpredictable resistance. In the cold, quiet battle above, human creativity became their strongest weapon. One group of defense satellites used reflections from Venus to temporarily blind the sensors of approaching vessels, causing them to drift off course and crash into one another. Elsewhere, captured enemy signals were mimicked to spread confusion, making Federation ships believe they were being ordered to retreat or regroup when in fact, they were being drawn into traps. The tide of battle turned quickly. Fireballs bloomed silently in space as ship after ship was destroyed. A massive Federation cruiser, the pride of their fleet, was disabled by a targeted EMP blast and then slowly dismantled by drones. Federation commanders, once so sure of victory, found themselves unsure of what to do next. Their communications were jammed. Their formations were broken. Their confidence was gone. What they thought would be a simple operation had become a nightmare. And still, Earth showed no signs of weakness. As the hours passed, the Federation realized they could not win this round. Their fleet was scattered, their systems malfunctioning, and their soldiers demoralized. One by one, the remaining ships began to retreat, limping back toward deep space. But as they fled, the warning they had ignored echoed louder in their minds. Earth was not what it seemed. Something more lay hidden. Beneath its surface intelligence, strategy, and perhaps an ancient power that had been watching the stars for a long time. The Federation would not forget this encounter. Though they left the battlefield, they carried the memory of their failure like a shadow. Back on Earth, humanity did not celebrate loudly. The skies slowly returned to calm, and the planet remained quiet, as if nothing had happened. But deep in its core, and within the systems of its secret AI network, the message was clear. Earth had passed the test of will. And if the Federation or any force ever returned, they would not find Earth unprepared. They would find a planet that had already faced giants and learned how to stand tall. The stars, once symbols of mystery and hope, now shimmered with silent warning. Something was awakening on Earth, and the galaxy had taken notice in the quiet. Days following the unexpected victory in space, Earth stood at a turning point. The people had seen the threat with their own eyes, giant alien ships drifting above their skies, explosions lighting up the dark beyond the atmosphere, and strange signals echoing through global communication networks. But Earth had survived. Not by accident, but through unity, courage, and silent preparation that had been taking shape for years. Now, the world was ready to step forward. Hidden beneath the surface of old cities, frozen mountain bases, and deep ocean facilities, leaders and scientists emerged to speak with one voice. These were not just politicians, but representatives of an alliance long in the making, an unbroken bond between surviving nations. Once divided by borders, now united by necessity, they revealed that Earth had never been truly unprepared. After years of watching the stars and sensing growing danger beyond their world, humanity had quietly built a network of scientific enclaves, shielded from global conflicts and political noise. These underground communities had worked in secret, developing technology far beyond what the rest of the planet believed possible. Now, those advancements were ready. During a broadcast sent across every continent, leaders unveiled the next stage in Earth's defense, a series of superweapons powered by dark energy converters. stealth ships capable of disappearing in both space and radar and AI systems, smarter than anything the Federation had yet encountered. These were not weapons made to conquer, but to protect, to make sure Earth would never again be seen as an easy target. As the news spread, hope surged through cities and villages alike. The fear that had once haunted humanity after first contact now turned into resolve. The people did not cheer for war, but they stood firm in the decision to defend their planet, at any cost. Far beyond the solar system, the Galactic Federation watched these developments with increasing concern. Their initial defeat had been embarrassing. But this new Earth was something different, confident, organized, and unpredictable. In a final attempt to regain control without another costly battle, they sent diplomats through a secure communication channel. Their message came wrapped in polite words, but carried a clear demand. Earth must surrender its new technology, open its research bases to Federation supervision, and agree to join as a lesser member of the galactic system. In return, peace would be guaranteed, and Earth would be protected under Federation law. But the answer was already known before Earth responded. In a global announcement broadcast not only to Earth but to deep space, a single voice spoke on behalf of all humankind. It was not a threat nor a plea. It was a simple, powerful message. We will not surrender what we have built, claim our right to survive, to learn, to protect our home, and to choose our future. We are no longer what you thought we were. The silence that followed was louder than any war cry. Across the galaxy, other civilizations, some hidden, some watching from afar, took note. Earth had drawn a line in the stars. For the first time in history, humans were not asking for permission to exist. They were declaring it. His bold response sent ripples through the Federation. Some of their own member worlds began to question the old rules. Who gave the Federation the right to control discovery? Why should new civilizations be forced into submission? Quietly, doubt began to spread through the very system that had once ruled without question. Back on Earth, preparations continued. The new weapons were tested in silence, far from public eyes. Deep space sensors were launched to monitor every movement beyond the solar system. Young scientists, engineers, and strategists were trained in underground academies, knowing that one day the defense of Earth might depend on them. Despite the looming tension, people still lived their lives. Children played under the sun, artists painted the skies, and storytellers whispered tales of a time when Earth rose to meet the stars. But beneath that normal life, there was always the hum of readiness, a reminder that peace was no longer something to be hoped for, but protected. The galaxy might come again, with new tricks and greater strength, but Earth would be ready. They had learned that power alone could not win a war. It was the will to stand, the courage to think differently, and the unity of many minds that turned the tide. Suspicion remained, and many questions were unanswered. Who had sent the original warning to the Federation, telling them to stay away from Earth? Was there something even greater watching from the shadows of the universe, protecting humanity for a reason not yet known? And most of all, what would come next in a galaxy where Earth had declared itself unbroken? Stars above no longer seemed distant. They were a map of possibilities, and Earth was ready to write its own path across them, far beyond Earth's skies. Hidden deep within a cluster of red stars, the Galactic Federation gathered its largest fleet in centuries. Their pride had been wounded, their authority challenged, and their reputation shaken by a world they once dismissed as weak. The failure of their first mission had sent waves of unrest throughout the galaxy. And now the Federation was determined to crush Earth's resistance once and for all. Hundreds of warships, carriers, and drone squadrons lined up in formation, their sleek bodies glowing with artificial light, engines humming with silent fury. This was not a diplomatic mission or a test, it was a full-scale retaliation. Their goal was clear: overwhelm Earth through sheer force, wipe out its defenses, and remind the galaxy who held power. But unknown to them, Earth had been preparing not just for survival, but for something far greater. In secret labs buried beneath deserts and ice caps, human scientists had spent months studying every piece of alien technology recovered from the first battle. Engineers, physicists, and AI researchers worked side by side, decoding systems far beyond human understanding and reimagining them with Earth's own twist. What emerged was not just an upgrade of existing weapons, but a whole new kind of warfare, unpredictable and fast. The warning of the incoming fleet came early, thanks to new deep space sensors stationed beyond Neptune. Earth's defense leaders activated Project Ether, a plan that had been quietly developed since the first retreat of the Federation. Massive cloaked ships, hidden in the shadows of moons and artificial dust clouds, moved silently into position. Their surfaces bent light and sound, making them invisible to the Federation's most advanced scanners. At the same time, orbital shields were adjusted to become adaptive. They could now change frequency and shape in real time, blocking different types of energy attacks as they happened. But the most powerful surprise was something entirely new. A weapon known only as the Silence Beam, a focused energy pulse designed not to destroy but to disrupt. When fired, it sent a cascading signal that targeted the communication and control systems of enemy command ships. With one strike, entire formations could lose their coordination, drifting helplessly in the void. As the Federation fleet arrived, they were confident in their numbers. They launched their first wave of drones, expecting to clear the outer layer of Earth's defenses with ease. But instead of resistance in the open, they found confusion. Their drones disappeared into empty space, attacked by cloaked ships they could not detect. Their main ships fired toward Earth's position, only to find their shots absorbed, directed, or simply blocked by shifting shields. Then came the Silence Beam. One of the lead command ships suddenly went dark, its systems failed, lights faded, and the ship began to drift. Around it, smaller ships paused, confused, waiting for orders that never came. Earth used that moment to strike, with drone swarms and laser arrays tearing through enemy formations. For every attack the Federation launched, Earth had a counter. Enemy ships began crashing into each other, unable to communicate. Tactical errors multiplied and the clean, organized formation of the Federation turned into chaos. But still, the invaders pressed forward using brute force, hoping to break through by sheer numbers. Earth's defense stations, however, had more to offer. Some used magnetic field generators to pull debris into the paths of incoming ships. Others launched new types of projectile smart bombs that followed targets through evasive maneuvers. Above the planet, space had become a battlefield of movement and strategy. It was not just about firepower anymore. It was about who could think faster, adapt better, and outwit the other. Humanity proved relentless. As the battle stretched on, Earth's defenders used the patterns of the enemy against them. The AI systems monitored every move, adjusting strategies in seconds. Where once humans relied only on instinct, now they had machines that could enhance their decisions in real time. Despite heavy pressure, Earth held its ground. Explosions lit up the dark sky, and pieces of metal drifted silently through space like forgotten ghosts. But Earth remained. The Federation, facing losses beyond anything they had predicted, began to realize the truth. This was not a temporary rebellion. This was a transformation. Earth was no longer a minor planet in a quiet corner of the galaxy. It had become a symbol of defiance, of evolution, and of survival. Every moment the planet stood, it sent a message not just to the Federation, but to every world watching from afar. The galaxy now saw humanity not as prey, but as a rising force. Though the Federation had come to destroy, they left with fear growing in their hearts. And Earth, though bruised and scarred, had proven something powerful when pushed to the edge. Humans did not fall. They rose higher, thought deeper, and fought harder. The stars above, once distant and silent, now whispered of a new era, one where Earth would no longer wait in the shadows, but carve its own path among the stars. The stars were quiet in the aftermath of war, but they had witnessed something no one in the galaxy expected: the fall of a mighty force at the hands of a planet once dismissed as unimportant. The Galactic Federation's once great fleet, bruised and broken, began its retreat across the dark silence of space. Their ships, some scarred beyond repair, limped away from the solar system, engines flickering like dying embers. What was meant to be a show of dominance had turned into a disaster. Earth had not only survived, but delivered a message written in strategy, sacrifice, and fire. Within hours of the last Federation ship leaving the system, Earth acted. There was no delay, no waiting for diplomacy. A message was prepared simple, direct, and unstoppable. It was sent not only to the retreating invaders, but across every known communication channel, translated into every known language of the stars. The voice that spoke carried no anger, no fear, only a calm, sharp finality. "Attack Earth again," it said, "and you will be annihilated." The warning was not just a threat. It was a promise forged in battle. Attached to the broadcast were visuals and data feeds footage of the destroyed command ships, logs of disrupted systems, and real-time proof of Earth's new capabilities. Across the galaxy, governments, empires, and hidden powers paused to watch. Planets that had once ignored Earth now paid attention. Species that had remained silent observers now analyzed every second of the message. The Federation, known for centuries as the ultimate force in the galaxy, had suffered a loss they could not hide. Their failure was no longer just a tactical setback, it was a wound to their authority, one that weakened their grip across multiple sectors. On distant worlds, whispers began. Could Earth be the beginning of change? Could one world stand against an empire and win? Among the stars, questions turned into shifts. Small civilizations that had been living under the Federation's shadow began to open secret lines of communication. Some sent quiet messages of respect to Earth, while others began preparing for their own freedom. The silence that followed Earth's broadcast was not peace, was the pause before a storm of change. On Earth, the people watched the stars, not with fear, but with a sense of responsibility. They had claimed their place in the galaxy not through conquest, but by defending their right to exist. Now, that place had to be guarded carefully. Earth's leaders gathered again, not in celebration, but in resolve. They knew this would not be the end. The Federation might return, stronger and wiser, or another power might rise from the darkness between stars. But humanity had changed forever. They were no longer a fragmented race bound by old conflicts. They were united, prepared, and wide awake. New defense systems were placed in orbit, moon bases were expanded, and Mars became more than a colony, it became a fortress. Young minds were trained not just in science and engineering, but in diplomacy, ethics, and survival. Earth's new generation would not grow up under the illusion of isolation. They would grow up knowing their place was among the stars, and that with that place came challenges they must face with wisdom. Though the planet remained calm on the surface, preparations never stopped. The skies above Earth had become a shielded dome of invisible power, and deep beneath the oceans and ice sheets, the last layers of Earth's defensive network were being built. But through it all, one thing became clear. Humanity did not seek to dominate. Their message had not called for war, only protection. The galaxy had witnessed enough destruction. Earth, having tasted both fear and strength, chose to stand not as an invader, but as a sentinel, a guardian of its people and of peace. The warning, sharp as it was also a call for understanding. Let us live, let us grow, and we will not strike. But if we are threatened, we will not fall. Over time, the image of Earth began to change in the minds of distant worlds. No longer just a blue dot floating quietly in a forgotten part of the galaxy, Earth became a symbol of resilience, a planet that had faced a storm and refused to break, a place where minds burned bright and hearts stood firm. World had awakened, and the stars would remember. For the Federation, their defeat remained a painful reminder that strength alone did not guarantee control. They withdrew into their systems, rethinking their strategies, reevaluating their position in a galaxy that had just become more complicated. And as the stars turned slowly above the Earth, a new chapter began, not of war, but of a planet ready to stand on its own. The message had been sent. The line had been drawn. An Earth reborn from the shadow of fear now watched the stars with open eyes and an unshakable will, prepared to defend its place in the endless story of the universe.